Yes, good evening, everybody. Welcome to NRL SC Off the Bench for a wet and wild team list Tuesday night. It is a bit wet and wild when I am, so I've sort of been on the road a bit, helping out some people that are struggling in the floods. So, sort of coming to you from a bit of a wild spot here tonight, but we're going to do it anyway, Roscoe?
Yeah, good evening. How are you? We haven't had much rain down here, but obviously you have up there. I was actually reading yesterday that Kalen Pong was actually stuck in Newcastle and couldn't join the team because of the floods. I presume it's all okay now, but for him to get up there. But yeah, obviously a few concerns in certain areas of flooding in certain parts. So, to those who are affected, all the best with everything too, and hopefully you'll get through it okay, but there's certainly been plenty of rain around, that's for sure, Brad. And you know that living in Costs that it's always raining up there.
It's never dry. It's never dry. All right. Team List Tuesday has dropped a couple of hours ago. We are sorry we're coming to you a bit later tonight. The first team that dropped, I've put up there. Roscoe, do you want to go through it?
Yeah, sure. Just quickly before we start, just a shout out to Bradley Baxter, who's a long time listener. He actually commented on my post earlier asking whether we were doing the pod live. He said he listens to all of them, watches all of them. So g'day, Brad. I hope you're tuning in. You got any questions, mate? Send them through. Even those who are either watching on Facebook or on YouTube, send through your questions, send through your sledges, whatever you've got. Bring them, give it to us. So first game is the Dogs versus the Dolphins. So the ins is Blake Wilson onto the wing. Blake Taft comes into the centres. Josh Curran returns it from suspension at prop. Jake Turpin and Sam Hughes onto the bench for the Dogs. For the Dolphins, Max Fegai comes into the centres and Keeley onto the bench. Your outs are obviously Karaz injured, Gilbert injured, Fafita's out with concussion. And then you got Origin for Critter, Mann, King, and the Hammer. And then just a few positional changes of Opoe going to prop, Bailey Hayward to lock, and Conley Lemu on the edge, and Jacob Verrillo to fullback. This is a dead set, bloody great matchup. I think I cannot believe that the Dolphins for starters, Brad, are like over $3 or something in this game with the amount of players that the Dogs are missing. I really, really like, and I'm so glad I actually own Herbie, because I can see Herbie going big in this game.
Yeah, it's a different looking team list, that's for sure, out of the Bulldogs. I actually go the other way. I think the Bulldogs are going to go really, really well. It is a good matchup. I'm very interested, and I wouldn't mind betting once team list came out that the ownership of some of these players will change. But I think Bailey Hayward for the next 3 to 4 weeks could have a very, very secure little spot there. That'll get you through a few dramas over the next 3 or 4 weeks. And if you've got a Hubner, I'd much prefer Bailey Hayward over Hubner any day of the week.
He's got a handy dual position too. I think it's, what is it? Is it centre and second row forward or something? I think he's
something.
Yeah, so he's got
like
second row forward, centre wing. So he's one of those players you can move around with Dylan Lucas too. So
yeah.
But yeah, don't mind him. I'm interested on your thoughts on Blake Wilson, Brad, as well. What's your thoughts on Blake Wilson?
How much is Wilson again?
He's about $4.50. So he's not cheap, but
yeah. He's one I've had my eyes on over the years, and I have owned him. I think last year when he came in pretty cheap, not a fair bit cheaper than that. I think you threw up a question earlier to me between Wilson and who was it?
Yeah, Hiroti from Stars.
Gee, Cronulla are 100% strong, eh? They're not even missing a single beat there in their team. So
yeah,
I could see Wilson getting a bit of ball on that side, certainly. But that is Karaz's side, and Karaz hasn't been getting too much ball lately either. So, but Karaz makes up for it in pure base runs back into play and things like that. But Wilson is certainly look. I wouldn't I can't knock it. It's quite
Yeah.
good. He's pretty strong sort of a fella. So,
I
yeah,
think probably the only other advantage, I guess, Brad, with going Harodi is that Stone Street's out 6 to 8 weeks. So
yeah,
obviously, with their stocks at shortage that they've got in their centre wing at the moment, the Sharks, I think as long as he stays fit, he'll be there that whole time. So, and we did see glimpses of him, prior to his injury, and he does go okay. And the Sharks have got an absolute mint draw coming up too. So, Blake Wilson's obviously going to be a bit of a pod, but I reckon Harodi's going to be very popular this week. Obviously, with
yeah,
the news that Carraz is out too, obviously there's going to be a lot of people flocking to Kaolero and obviously Herbie as well, both highly
yeah.
traded this week.
Yeah, we'll sort of get to that, but
Yeah,
as I said, my actual when I first looked at this team list, my real interest was sparked by Harry Hayes and Bailey
yeah,
Hayward.
yeah,
Not only cheap, but both of them have got fantastic PPMs. Mind you, it's
mm,
not hard to have a really good PPM when you're coming off the bench each week and only smashing through 30 minutes.
yeah,
Which is where Harry Hayes sort of, a lot of his sample size is over sort of smaller periods. And it's a bit like looking at Willison. Willison playing for 80 minutes at Brisbane is a lot different to Willison when he plays for 30 minutes off the bench. His
yeah.
PPM is completely different.
I'll just
But
I'll
Harry,
just I'll just correct myself from earlier too. Sorry, by the way. Sorry, it's actually Harry Hayes at second row forward centre wing. Bailey
yeah,
Hayward is second row forward 5'8".
yeah,
Both at very similar price, around 400k mark.
yeah, very, very close to 400s, yeah.
Yeah,
So as I said, not much up, for about 30 grand up from, I think, Hubner to one of
yeah,
them, and their PPM is so much better than Hubner's. So
yeah,
I much prefer them. Yeah, absolutely.
yeah.
Yeah.
If you scroll down, Brad, is there anyone else that we need to have a look at here?
Jake Turpin. Now there's a blast
what's
from
the
the
bench
past.
looking like? What's the bench looking like for the Yeah, okay. So Hughes, Luke Smith, Curtis Morin, and Turpin. Yeah, interesting bench.
Turpin.
Been a while.
Oh, and
Yeah.
they said they weren't going to rush Sam Hughes back, and it's interesting that they have brought him back. So you've got three middles on that bench for the for the doggies. So that's I just went mad. Sorry, it's on the laptop, so I'm trying to negotiate with a little pad, which
that's okay.
me and pads is no good. All right, the Eels versus Manly. Well, I'll go through Manly first because it's pretty easy. Tommy, of course, he's didn't get selected, so he still sits there. The back line is almost exactly the same, except Jake Arthur comes in for DCE. In the front row, or in the forwards, not just the front row, the forwards, quite interestingly, Okolatu is named. Okolatu. I'm struggling with names. He is named, so the front row and the second row remain almost exactly the same. Lachlan Croker has been named to return in the 14 jersey. I think that's only a massive benefit to the team.
Yeah.
And Matthew Lodge, talk about a blast from the past. Wow. His first effort, I think, for the year, I think.
Yeah.
I don't think he was in round one. But that looks like being his first one of the year. For Parramatta, well, it all depends. Some people are going to have some interest here in Jordan Samarani. I wouldn't personally, but it's each to their own.
I think I didn't mind the trade if he was on the wing, but in centres I don't like it. I just feel it's like the situation with the alphabet man, who we'll speak about shortly. But I just think guys like that, it's just they're better off on the wing. Like, they're not going to score well in the centres. They're not going to get those run backs. They're not going to go busting tackles. Do you know what I mean? Like, they're not going to be scoring many tries in the centres. So for me, it's a pass. I'd rather just try and get a Jewel Nuff or someone like that, instead of bringing someone who could potentially only score you 10 points. And to be honest with you, do you really want to be wasting in a trade bringing in a guy who potentially won't score well, especially when it's only best 13 anyway?
Yeah, 100%. Tuolagi is returning back into the second row, but
So,
yeah, not for me. Nah,
no,
I can't. Too
he's
inconsistent
mud.
with his
He's mud.
forwards there. Riley Smith, unfortunately, hasn't really kicked on like some of us had hoped. I think Dylan Walker could be eaten into him a little bit there, but look, they're not a pretty strong interchange bench there, actually, from Parramatta, Ross.
Not bad. I mean, there's not much first grade experience there. I mean, between Moretti and Dory. I mean, Maddinson hasn't played a lot of first grade this year either. But yeah, look. Hey, anyway.
Jump on Manly. Who knows?
Well, I'm tipping Manly this week for sure. I just think the Eels without Moses and Lomax are really going to struggle.
All right, I'll let you go through the next game. Penrith and the Knights there.
Yeah.
Oh, a lot. There's some
So the
changes here.
ends. So Dane Laurie, fullback, Jenkins onto the wing, Casey McLean into the centres, Snyder at the halfback, Leo Thompson returns at prop, McCarthy into the centres for the Knights with Summerton, Cole, and Ricky on the bench for the Panthers. The outs is obviously Jacob Safedi's out injured, and then you've got Edwards, To'o, Cleary, Isaiah Yeo, and Ponga all out with Origin. Lindsay Smith moves to lock, Ison moves to prop, Gamble to 5'8", Cogger to halfback, Thomas Kant back to the bench, and Lucas back on that all-important edge, despite the fact that he was in doubt. I think, I don't know about you, but I'm very happy that he's playing this week because there was a lot of talk he was going to be out for at least 2 to 3 weeks.
Yeah, an interesting one. Keep a watch of the team lists and late changes because you never know. I think that coach is about as psychotic as Barry Gomersall, the old referee up at in Queensland. They're both friggin' nutcases. That's about where we're going to put this Newcastle coach at the moment. I mean, 1 week he rubbishes Cogger and demotes him, and the next week he pulls him back into be beside Gamble. Like, I don't know how he expects these blokes to cohesively operate when he's playing ducks and drakes and all sorts of wonderful little games. I really don't get a lot of this.
Well, I guess they didn't really have much of a choice with Sharp having to go to fullback too.
Yeah, Jackson Hastings. Yeah, they do have a choice. That's
Is
the
he
problem.
much better though? Let's be honest.
Well, I think he's more of an attacking weapon than any of the mutts he's been putting up there.
Yeah.
But he's not even giving him a chance. And from what I hear, he's actually not going that badly. But it's all very confusing with Newcastle at the moment. It's just
I think there's going to be a bloodbath here with that side of McCarthy and Hunt. They're both very inexperienced players. McCarthy, it's only his second game. So that'll be Alamotti up against Fletcher Hunt, correct?
No, that'll be opposite Jenkins. The inverse. So it'll be Schiller up against Schiller's up against Tom Jenkins. Yeah, Alamotti's up against Fletcher Hunt. Yeah, you're 100% right there.
Yeah, I don't mind that as an owner for Jenkins too, to be honest with you. I think hopefully he should score well in this one too. So, yeah, but other than that, I don't think there's really much else to talk about here. Sharp at fullback. Hopefully he does well there. But either way, that team for the Knights is pretty average, Brad, to be honest with you.
Snyder and unfortunately Laurie are all too expensive. Otherwise, you would get on them, but because both of them can perform.
Even Talangi too. Even Blaze Talangi too.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, I'll go for Psycho again. That's where I was. So bear with me. Next game is the Roosters versus Sharks. Talk about a cracking matchup.
This one should be a cracking game, eh?
The Sharks are nearly full strength, because Stone Street's out, but they bring back a Roddy. Is that a bad thing? Wow, what a replacement. Ronnie's there, Eero. Ronnie up against Daniel Tupu. That's going to be a fight of the century. The two tall timbers against each other, and Billy Smith on that side as well. That's quite interesting.
It's a nice matchup. It's a nice matchup. Already up against Dom Young too.
Well, yeah, Herodier now that is going to be very interesting because that is a tall bloke versus a very short bloke. So, whether they change something up there, Cronulla, because you've got an absolute giant that's nearly 7 foot up against a 5'4" Herodi. It doesn't hurt players like Brian Toto though. They seem to get over the top of those sort of things. Now, Mark, Mr. Alphabet, Marky Mark, the Alphabet man.
Yeah.
He's in the centres.
I don't like it. I mean, he's very highly traded in this week too, Brad. Again, another player who can score well in the centres, but I'd much prefer to have him on the wing. He's currently, I think he's number 7 on the most traded in this week. I just don't like it. He's definitely not going to score anywhere near as well as he did when he's on the wing. The tackle bus, run, tries, everything basically. I'm not a fan of it, but if you own him, it's fine. But I certainly wouldn't be buying him this week. So,
the forward pack for Cronulla is absolutely chock-a-block full with everybody you would expect, including AFB, that I think is number 1 most rated in. Now, somebody did make mention this week just gone that AFB did play extra minutes and have a try last week. I think some people...
Yeah, I think it might have been me posted in the thing. But, obviously... I mean, you have to think about it, Brad. I mean, they lost Raymond and Stone Street 10 minutes into the game. And as we've seen with this sort of stuff before, it just completely throws out the rotation. AFB has scored well the last 2 weeks.
He played 67 minutes there. So 67 minutes is a fair bit over what he had been doing. So, that's all I'm mentioning so that people do bear that in mind because 67, it's going to... I don't expect him with that bench that's there to be probably doing that again.
AFB, as I said, look, inflated minutes the last 2 weeks, 2 tries in there as well. I'm not saying he's a bad buy, Brad, by any means, but I just feel like, at 670K, I don't know. I don't know. I mean, I just can't believe so many people are trading out Payne Haas. I'm just you're going to want him back, Brad. This is the sort of guy that, with the best 13, I'm not understanding why with some of these trade outs at the moment. It's like people are panicking and forgetting that it's best 13 because trading out guys, like Payne Haas, you just shouldn't be doing it. No need to.
Now, this forward pack of the Roosters is an absolute basket case. It's horrible. Everything about it's horrible. Look, if they come out and win, we'll go back. We'll play this again, and you'll say, Brad, you were wrong. Beast, you're having an idiot. But have a look at it. Makatoa.
It's a very inexperienced bench, isn't it? So
Zach Docker Clay, Solesi Foteki. No, that's your front right.
Yeah.
Right? And then Egan Butcher, Sewell, Wong, Victor Radley. And then just go to your interchange bench and compare that to Cronulla's. Ben, what's his name? Banar.
Yeah, he's on. I think he's on debut. That bloke. I think this is his first game.
Taylor Lasulu, Blake Steep. Well, he's had a few games in that Butcher.
And that Butcher's obviously experienced, but that's it. Yeah.
Wow. I think it's going to be won and lost in the forwards, and I've got a feeling, although Robbo will probably get those forwards up, and it'll be a hell of a match. But geez, you'd want to be on any Cronulla player you can. Bear in mind, folks, Cronulla have the bye next week. So if you've got more than 3, start to go, oh, gee, should I really get a 4th one? If you've got 4 already, don't get a 5th because you are, you've got to come up with 17 next week. If you take 5 out already, that's without players getting rested for Origin and that. Well, you're going to be buggered to get to 17. So just watch your numbers there for Cronulla players. I'll certainly be going with.
And obviously, too, Teague Wilton's on that extended bench as well, so he may come in as well.
Yeah, he was like that last week as well. So it'd be interesting. I think he'll take Colquhoun's place though. If he does come in, I don't think they're going to rush him though. Not with the way Burns is going. Burns is going very solidly there. You want to go through this? I think this is the last.
Yeah, this is pretty straightforward. I mean, there's not really much Origin impact with this one. So Jackson Ford returns from concussion at prop. Afara returns from injury at prop. Martin comes onto the bench for the Raiders, and then you've got Fisher Harris out suspended, Mitch Barnett with Origin, and Hudson Young with Origin, and Sasagi comes onto the edge for Hudson Young. That's probably as straightforward as it gets, to be honest with you. I know a lot of people, including myself, sold horse thinking he was going to play Origin the week he was suspended. So, yeah, got lucky. Owners got lucky, obviously, with that one too, with him not being named in the Origin team. Xavier Savage is highly, highly traded in this week, Brad. And we spoke about this in our chat. This just stinks of Vegas round, where he came out, tonned up the first game. And if you have a look at a couple of his scores before he tonned up that last game, there was an 18 and a 17 against a couple of pretty average teams. So I feel like we're at round 12 now. We don't need to be doing – no one should be needing money now. Like, everyone should have plenty of money, you know what I'm saying? And I just don't like the trade. But I'm happy to bite my tongue because I did cop it today about, say Xavier Coates. I did say a few weeks ago that people were crazy to jump on him, and he's got 2 or 3 tons since then and sitting at around about 700K. But I don't know. Look, to be fair, the Raiders do look good. Is it a good matchup? No, it's not. It's in New Zealand. I reckon this will be a great game, Brad.
Look, it's going to be Savage up against Dallin Lesniak and Pompey. Pompey's pretty good defensively. You're 100% right. It's exactly like what we spoke about with Coates. Coates is very attack reliant. If he gets the attack and there's lots of points in the game, then Coates is going to go well. If it's going to be a very defensive game, then players like Savage aren't going to go well. They don't carry it back. Doesn't do a lot of runs back into play. So his meter reading is very limited at times. And he's not like a Mulatalo who will swap into the centres and do a lot of the defensive centre work, which is where Mulatalo gets extra points and some of those other extra involvement sort of wingers. He's not of that kind. So his base is, not very flash. So that's the only thing with the old X factor there. If you don't have Zach Hosking, get him. Yeah. Just get him. Don't think about it.
And
just do it.
The other one I wanted to speak about is KO Weeks, Brad. So obviously, fullback 5'8" dual, 600K. If you want to palm off Munster for the Origin period or something like that, I don't mind him as a trade-in. What's your thoughts on Weeks?
Weeks is way above X Factor. Yeah, Weeks is one probably to have a very serious look at. He's improving. I actually started the year with him. I got rid of him by about round 3 because he wasn't doing really what I was expecting of him. But he's starting to get a lot more try assists, and he's starting to get a lot more involvements in the general attack. We've seen him, up at Magic Round do that cracking try up there, and then he repeated again last week with more attacking moves. He could just be a confidence player, and if he is one of those players which is very Hines-like. Hines is a confidence player. When they start getting in confidence, they start going well in Supercoach, and he could be like that. And it looks like he's getting more confidence in recent weeks, certainly. So I couldn't knock it as a trade. Is he 600? 550? No, or he might be just over 600. Sorry, so I think it's just over 600.
Yeah, he's about 605. Yeah.
He's not a bad trade in at all, really. Geez, if you went Carraz down to him, you're giving yourself an extra 200 grand.
It's not bad, is it? I mean,
no.
Yeah. Look, looking at the trade out and trade ins, I mean, a lot of them make sense, as I said, other than the fact that people are trading out Payne Haas. I'm baffled at him being number 4 traded out. The rest of them pretty much make sense as well. The one for me, Brad, I wanted to speak about is the number 10 most traded this week is Kalen Ponga to Tommy Turbo. Now, I know that Ponga's not playing, and I know Turbo's cheap, but I can't even think about trading the bloke in at the moment the way he's going.
Yeah, no. No, I couldn't imagine anybody really with a sane mind putting Turbo in their team. Look, he's probably going to prove us wrong because he's gone ballistic against Parramatta in the past. However, if you base it on what we've seen the last 2 weeks, especially last week, his timing is just he just needs more ball work, more time with the team doing practice. Or they need more time with him too because the passes were either in front of him, behind him. It just wasn't. He wasn't in the right spot at the right time, which is that sort of things that we used to just take for granted with Turbo. And yeah, I'd love to see that come back for him. He'd be a lot better prospect. Still got a bit more money to lose too, so he's going to get cheaper. So I think he could
Yeah,
afford to wait.
I think he's got like 110 break even, so
Yeah,
he could like easily be under 500k after this week.
yeah.
Yeah.
G'day, Joey. Joey's coming in there. I can barely read that on my little computer here.
It says Tim is probably excited about his team having a bye. Might actually win something.
Oh, thanks, Joey. I can see another few people out there watching as well. Yeah, we didn't give much notification that we're coming on live, so I really appreciate those that those that have. And then what's he said here, Ross?
Said actually the bye looks pretty good at the moment. I'm going to back them to beat the Broncos 13 plus.
Timmy, you'll have to watch that. And I think Joey here is saying that he's going to the Chooks game on the weekend. Look, man, it should be a great game there, Joey. I reckon you're going to be onto a blockbuster, despite the fact they're inexperienced of the Roosters there. I think still getting a chance to see some of those Sharks players will be cracking good stuff. All right, anything? That's about it for questions at the moment, mate. As I said, we didn't give anybody much warning, so yep.
No, that's all good.
There's a few watching, but they're not questioning, so it's all right. Everybody's probably freaking out about now.
I'm interested on your thoughts, Brad. If you could trade in one player this week, who do you think's the number one target for this week for trading?
Yeah, wow, that's interesting. Who do I think's the number one player? Well, I think Zach Hosking is. If you don't own him, it depends who you own. Yeah, that's a very loaded question. If you don't own Zach Hosking, well, he's a must trade in. If you don't own Ruben Garrick up against Parramatta and that team, you'd want Ruben Garrick at the price that he is now. He's about bottomed out. There's a few others, that have nearly bottomed out. Iro looks very good, but very expensive. So that's up to you whether you want to get him.
Same with the Herbie too.
I find Herbie's matchup a bit riskier, so that's just personally. But you asked me who is my most must trade in. Well, it's Zach Hosking, definitely.
I mean, Teddy obviously has to be right up there in the conversation too, Brad. He's getting a bit expensive now, though, at 919k.
Yeah, I'm just assuming most people have made the decision weeks ago either to go Teddy or Drinky, which is a couple of weeks ago we all had that sort of dilemma. Some lucky people have got both. So if you're going to go one or the other, if you've got the money from Ponga to one of those two, then probably do it. But that's a big step up now. That's the problem with Ponga's bloody price, a little shit.
Yeah.
Georgie, g'day, George. George says, how are we going tonight? Good, thanks, George. I've had to do a runner down the coast because of the flooding, but apart from that, all good. I'm better off than most. So, that's who would you trade in? Who's your must trade in?
Jeez, I don't know. I do like Hale Hero. I reckon Ronnie at his price too is not a bad option either. But I'm dead set with you on Ruben Garrick, and all I'm going to say to people is do not be afraid about the break even of 110, because against the Eels team that they've got this week, you could easily get that. For me, I think he's right up there on the pecking order, and Zach Hoskins, like you said, Brad. I think they're the main ones. I think if you're looking for a cheaper option, obviously Ronnie's only 580k against, you guys like Ero and, Herbie that are like 730K. So, yeah, they're probably the ones for me, Brad.
Yeah. No, most, and I probably forgot about Ronnie at that price. And you're nearly crazy to
Yeah.
I mean, he's underneath the price of Hiroti. I think I'd rather Ronnie than Hiroti any day. And of course, we don't know. The coach has been doing this over previous weeks. He's been swapping that back five around a little bit.
Yeah.
And Hiroti's been going back into the centres, and then the centre goes onto the wing, and so yeah, just watch out for that one. But he's moved away from Ronnie's side, so I'd say Ronnie will definitely stay on the wing this week, maybe, which would be good for his try scoring abilities.
Yep, that's it, I think, for this week.
All right, folks. Well, thank you very much for joining us tonight. Sorry it's a bit late. Sorry it's a bit rushed. As you can see, I'm coming from temporary digs tonight, but appreciate everybody tuning in that has tuned in. George and Joey, thanks for your little comments there. Wherever you are, stay safe, stay dry as you can. We've still got a few more days of this wet, so having a look around Port Macquarie and around there this morning, man, there's some massive amounts of water. And still a bit more flooding. I think they evacuated Bulahdelah this afternoon, which doesn't surprise me either, because it's just a mess around there at the moment.
Yeah. Well, stay safe, everyone, and we'll see you back on Sunday night for our round 12 wrap. Last game's at 4:00, so we'll probably kick off about 7:30. So it won't be past everyone's bedtime this time. But until then, we will see everybody on Sunday night. Stay safe and be good, and good luck this round.
Stay safe and no panic trading. That's the biggest tip we can give. Because you've got a long way to go with this origin period. Who knows what's going to happen?
And with all these injuries that we're having, save your trades where you can. Don't worry about a 13. Don't bring someone in just for the number.
100%. You want quality over quantity.
Yeah,
is the tip. So I'd rather have 11 quality players than actually 13.
Yeah.
Because there's no use getting a spud that gets you 12 or 13 points, and you go, oh yeah, look at that. No, it's not good.
Yeah.
Quality over quantity is what you're needing at the moment. All right. Thanks very much, everybody, and catch you later.